You've just entered the no delusion zone. I'm David Dubato. Today is the latest episode in a short series of podcasts that I'm doing and that I will continue to do during the constitutional crisis that is occurring here in my country, the United States of America. Formerly a constitutional republic, a form of democracy, now an oligarchy. Oh, and for those of you, mostly MAGA people, who keep wanting to tell me that America was never a democracy, it was a republic. Well, MAGA, a republic is a form of democracy. Sorry to break that to you, but a constitutional republic is a form of democracy. Look it up. So take that, this is just a republic, it ain't a democracy, and shove it up your ass. Now that we've dispensed with that bit of nonsense, on to the most important topic of today. In their continuing effort to burn down every institution of government in the United States, MAGA has essentially closed down the Department of Education, USAID, which is the United States Agency for International Development, which was the largest international agency of foreign aid in the world. They saved millions and millions of lives of people with deadly, fatal diseases like AIDS and in Africa. And I think that's possibly why they shut it down. Saving all those black lives in Africa was thought by MAGA, by the white supremacists in MAGA, to be a total just waste of money, waste of Americans' tax dollars. Why would you ever want to spend Americans' hard-earned tax dollars to save some aid-ridden black Africans? Blah. So they did away with that. That stopped immediately. Over the last few days, they essentially padlocked the Department of Education. That's on the block anyway. They want to totally do away with it and have all of the individual states be responsible for the education in their own states, except for the fact that, I don't know, the vast majority of states in America don't have enough money to fund their own schools. I'm talking about elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and colleges and universities. In fact, most of them are cutting back on their support of their school systems, meaning they don't have enough money to buy books, or in some cases, to heat the schools in the winter. But MAGA wants to cut back and take away the federal money that they need to keep those schools open and those books coming and that heat being turned on. Smart move. Smart move. So states like Mississippi and Louisiana, who regularly score in the very bottom percentile of students in the United States, well, for them, it's going to get even worse. In any event, not only did they padlock the Department of Education, they refused to let a delegation of about a dozen or so congressional aides and members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress, access to the building, the headquarters of the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. They wouldn't let them in, even though Congress has oversight, congressional, constitutionally mandated oversight of all federal institutions, budgetary oversight. They wouldn't let them in to even look at the building. And what was going on in there? Well, Musk's teenagers and 20-somethings were rifling through all the files, breaking and hacking into the Department of Education's computer system, and doing God knows what. They did the same thing at the Department of the Treasury last week, which made news all over the world. They have since, I won't say for sure, but they had access to all of the Treasury Department's databases, which, as I said in one of my last podcasts, include basically the names of all Americans, and it controls all of the money that is paid out by the government of the United States. Trillions of dollars. Well, a judge has since ordered an injunction, a temporary injunction, to stop them from accessing the Treasury Department's computer system database. That's great, except that they've already been in there. So they could have done anything. They could have downloaded the entire database to external drives. They could have wiped it clean. They could have put a virus in it. They could have changed any number of codes or metadata, or basically done whatever they want. They were in there for several days. So what good is putting a temporary injunction on it now? None. But that's how the Democrats respond to these kinds of major catastrophes. Like I said, we're in a constitutional crisis right now. Why? Because now that there is a temporary injunction on Doge, Elon Musk's unconstitutional and probably illegal agency, which has hacked into the Treasury Department's database and probably now the Education Department's database and shut down U.S. aid. Now that there's a temporary injunction on them, after the hearing is held, and if that injunction is made permanent, legally locking Doge and Musk's morons out of federal databases, who's going to enforce it? Nobody. They'll just do as they want. And so this constitutional crisis will get even worse. And in the hopes that I don't make this much longer than it has to be today, I just want to touch on one more topic, which is near and dear to my heart. It has to do with the Justice Department, Department of Justice, and the FBI. The FBI, the senior apparatchiks who have been appointed by Trump and his minion, Pam Bondi, the new Attorney General of Department of Justice, Attorney General of the United States, has ordered all the FBI agents who had anything to do with investigating the insurrection, the treason that happened on January 6, 2021. Any agent of the FBI that had any role whatsoever in investigating that insurrection has to turn their names over to their supervisors, who in turn will turn it over to a deputy director, who in turn will turn that over to the attorney general for investigation to see if they did anything wrong. I can't tell you how troubling that is, how dangerous it is, how treasonous it is, and what a slap in the face, a kick in the gut it is to every law enforcement officer in the United States, not just the FBI. Here are men and women who devoted their entire careers to protecting the United States from criminals, both domestic and foreign. And now, because they were told to investigate one of the most far-reaching, complicated, and serious crimes in the history of the United States, the January 6th attempted coup, they are being investigated? This is another disgrace. Now, lawsuits have been filed. Class action lawsuits by the agents have been filed to try to stop this. But again, even if they prevail in federal court with stopping this outrage, who's going to enforce the court's order? Especially if it's a federal court order, which it will be, because Trump and MAGA control the federal courts. So we will be plunged into an even deeper, darker, more serious constitutional crisis. Look, if you're a MAGA member, or you are somehow, for some reason, supporting Donald Trump and what he's been doing these last 3 weeks or so since taking office, you've got to ask yourself, how can you support him or MAGA taking this action against the men and women of the FBI who did nothing but follow orders, lawful orders, to conduct an investigation into a huge crime? And now they are being investigated for possible criminal action or termination from their jobs? How can you support that? Think about it. And that's all for today, because there's so much coming in every day that I really do have to pick and choose what I think is the most important, or at least the topics that I want to talk about today, the outrages that I want to talk about today. And so that's it for today. I'm going to try to come back tomorrow with another one, although I've got two podcasts to record tomorrow, but I will try to do this again tomorrow. If not, I'll be back very, very soon with another one of these short updates about what's going on during the constitutional crisis in the oligarchy that used to be the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. So to all of you, take care, stay safe, and stay sane.